Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. I appreciate it. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. You know, before we get started, I always want to make sure that I shout out anything that I have going on. And right now, it is the merch, right? The FCS championship is coming up. The Grizzlies are playing the Jacks. Montana versus South Dakota State. You've got a legendary program, several wins, several trips to Frisco, or several trips to the championship. And then you have the upstart South Dakota State that started from the bottom, and now they're here looking to repeat. You definitely want to go and get this merch. It's a beautiful shirt, beautiful hoodie. If you want the image, make sure that you look right down here at this scrolling thing. You'll see the website down there. That is saylesssports.com/FCS radio merch. Make sure you go and check that out. One of the things that I've noticed in life, but especially, like I said, where we see sports and culture kind of intersect, that's usually where I like to try to keep this podcast. I've noticed that there doesn't seem to be protections across the board, right? I'm gonna tell you what I mean. We go out and we try to put things in place to protect certain people and certain classes and whatever it might be. But the one entity that we don't protect, the one entity that we don't stand up for, is the young, newly wealthy athlete or newly rich athlete. We don't stand up for them at all. I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know if it's envy. I don't know if it's we don't believe they need it. I don't know what it is, but we've somehow gotten to a place where we'll defend everybody except for that young, rich, male, usually black male athlete. I'll give you a correlation of what I mean, right? There was this thing a long time ago, not a long time ago, it probably still happens now. This is how awful it is, right? Where the young, beautiful young lady that's a model or an actress or a singer, they get taken advantage of. They're beautiful. People want their beauty. They want to be where those people are. And so it puts them in very uncomfortable situations where they may end up doing something that they didn't necessarily want to do. And we've seen it right now as some of those people who have done that to these young ladies, they get put in their place. They're starting to get put in their place. The come-uppins are happening. But we don't have any of that same energy for the correlation on the guy side, which is the uber talented, young, rich athlete. There is no protections for those guys. There's no protection for that uber rich, young athlete. You know why? And you know why I say it? Because the uber rich, young female athlete, everybody's protecting them. Everybody's trying to make sure they're okay, right? So the young ladies who are beautiful, they got a team around them, protecting them, making sure that nobody tries to take advantage of them. And because what they want doesn't necessarily have to do with getting men, because they could always get a man. They were always beautiful, right? They were always beautiful, so they could get a man. That's not the issue. For a lot of these young male athletes, what was for the young, beautiful woman, the fame and the bag that they're trying to get to, that young male athlete already has the fame and the bag. So what do they want? They want the young women. They want these women, or not the young women, but they want the women. They want the beautiful, fantastically gorgeous, Instagram models and models and actresses and people that are, but they are being preyed on to a level that we've seen before, but we've never seen at this level because social media didn't exist until this time. And so now we're seeing these young men be absolutely positively preyed on. We're seeing these young men be put into positions where they are called out, they are vilified, they are told, or they're made to seem as if they're the worst of the worst people, right? They're being made to assume that they are the scum of the earth, right? But in reality, it's not that they're bad people. It's not that they're the scum of the earth. It's just that they don't know any better. They're learning on the fly, but they're learning with millions of dollars in their pocket and millions of eyes on them, and they have no protection out there. Why? Because everybody that's coming at them wants something. Everybody that's coming at them wants something. Remember, when you're helping the beautiful young lady that's trying to come up in the industry, right? What you want from her is different than what you want from this young man. So there are now people that are out there protecting those young ladies, and that's fantastic. They should be protected. But these young men need to be protected. They need to be protected from themselves, and they need to be protected from these vultures that are looking to take advantage of them. If they don't, then we're no better than the people who took advantage of those young ladies for years upon years upon years. Because the same time that those young ladies were being preyed on, these young rich athletes were being preyed on. The only difference is there was no social media. So now, what do I bring this to? Anthony Edwards situation. Anthony Edwards apparently had some type of relationship with a young lady. Apparently had some type of relationship that was sexual in nature. There was nothing illegal about the relationship. There was nothing wrong. The lady hits him and says, "Hey, I'm pregnant." He says, "I don't want it. Get rid of it." Now, does he handle it the wrong way according to the communication? Absolutely. But here's what we know. We only see one side of the leaked communication. We only see what she put out there. And everything that she puts out there makes it look as if she is the more like level-headed, intelligent one, and she probably is. Right? So then why are you messing with a 22-year-old basketball player? What does he bring to the table for you? Nothing except what? Money. Money. That's it. Like you're not even going to glean any notoriety off of him. So now when he handles things the wrong way because he's a 22-year-old dude with millions of dollars and isn't thinking right, you put him out there in public for public consumption, right? You throw him out there. We've seen Zion Williamson, who was messing with a young lady. That young lady ends up pregnant. He does what he feels the right thing. All right, we're gonna make a run of this thing. Then all of the other ones come out of the woodwork. Some taking it so far as to constantly put his business in. Why? Because they're upset that they no longer have an opportunity at the bag. We've seen athletes get involved with people, get hemmed up, and now they're on the hook for millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Why? Because now that woman's child has to live a $50,000 a year lifestyle. Excuse me, a $50,000 a month lifestyle. We've seen women use these men, these young men these impressionable men, these men who probably their entire life has been thirsty for this level of beautiful, fine woman who's doing everything that they want to, who probably don't have the mentors in place or the people in place to say, hey, you got to be careful out there. There are people that do not mean you harm. I mean, who do not mean you well, who only want to harm you. Vultures, assassins. They lock in on a target, you're done before you ever even knew what happened to you. People are eating that baby and getting back to the business like it's going out of style. Yeah, I'll have this baby at 25. Have the baby. Let a little time go. Get the little work done because now I'm sitting on 50. I'm sitting on 60. I'm sitting on $70,000 a month. Either I'm with the man and now I'm set, or he's paying child support in essence of ridiculous amounts of money, and I'm still set. And I'm still set. And so now that's what we're seeing in this society. That's what we're seeing go on. These young men being caught up, being preyed on. You see these beautiful women all of a sudden now single at courtside. What are they doing? They're reeling them in. And nobody has said, hey, this is ugly, dirty work. This is foul work. Do a 28, 29, 30-year old like that. Now, guess what? We ain't got no excuse, but bro, you damn near 30. You don't know no better. Take what you got to take. But we're seeing more and more of the 21, 22, 23-year-olds who are still trying to figure it out mentally, who are still trying to figure out emotionally, now being caught up in situations where they were legitimately preyed on. And it's okay. It's all right. But let it be the other way. Let it be men taking advantage of a 19, 20, 21-year-old girl, young lady, and it's all bad. It's all negative. Right? It should be. Have that same energy the other way because these young men are going through it and it's tearing up like careers. If we had better understanding, if we had better awareness, if we had so many people to come to their aid who were not looking for something from these young men, then they might make better decisions, more informed decisions that help them better navigate these shark-infested waters. And if they choose to swim in them, now they're swimming in them with their eyes wide open. Because I'm pretty sure most of them are sitting back going, it's never going to happen to me. I'll be fine. They'll never do that to me. Oh, I've got enough money. I can get by it. It's awful. It's dirty work. So let me be the one to tell you, young men out there, you are athletic. That means you're gonna have great bodies, most likely. Right? You're athletic, young, great bodies. You know how to operate in groups because you've been playing on teams. You're probably going to have a little charisma to you. And you're going to have money. You have got to be more responsible with those things down there. You cannot just go, I want to see how many I can shoot. I want to see how many I can get on the tally sheet, because it's not like when I came up. And it's not like when people before me came up, where you could operate and move in anonymity because only the people that were in your proximity knew who you were. Now, everybody does. We all talk about, oh, Michael Jordan and a lot of things that Michael Jordan was doing, he got away with because the media protected him. No, they didn't. They didn't protect him. They were just holding the cards to their vest until it was time for them to play them. And almost every media member that was around Michael Jordan at that time cashed out on it. They wrote books. They parlayed their position into other positions. Skip Bayless is somebody who was barely even remotely somewhere sort of kind of close to Michael Jordan. He just happened to be in Chicago at the time, and he was able to parlay that into who he is now. The same thing with a guy like Mike Greenberg. He wasn't really a part of that Chicago thing, but he got his way in because he was able to ride that kind of wave off of there. They were able to take that opportunity and run with it. Brian Windhorst only has a job because he's been able to follow LeBron James around his entire career. Name the things that Brian Windhorst was doing nationally before LeBron James. Before he was the guy following LeBron James around in high school. You can't find it. Right? So these things happen. We know these things happen. I'm not saying that they don't happen. I'm saying that people, when you are a talented, athletic, charismatic athlete, and you get handed a bunch of money, it is not a license to say, oh, I'm going to do whatever I want now. Now the world is my oyster. No, the world is not your oyster. Now the world is your predator and you're the prey. And so you're the gazelle every day. You got to outrun stuff every single day. You've got to outrun every single lion. You've got to outrun every single lion. See, that's the part in the analogy that they don't really tell you, right? They always give you the analogy from the predator side. But most of us have to operate as predator and prey at the same time. And most of the times, we're operating as the prey. We may not even know it. All of these rich, athletic basketball players, football players, baseball players, hockey players, soccer players, you are not the predator. You are the prey because there are more of them than there are of you. For every one superstar basketball player, there's 30, 40, 50, countless amounts of gorgeous women out there just looking for one slow basketball player. Remember, the lion only has to be faster than the slowest gazelle. The gazelle has to be faster than every single lion. It has to be faster than every single predator. If you're slower than one predator, boom, you're done. And if one gets you, multiple are most likely going to get you. That's the game. If you get hit early by one of these trained assassins and they get you for a baby and 1.5 million a year, right? If they get you for a baby and 700,000 a year, you don't think in 2 to 3 years, 4 years, when that relationship hasn't worked and you're 26, you're 27, there's not another more experienced trained assassin coming to get you again? Because you didn't learn, you just dealt with. Now, instead of learning for 4 years, you had to deal with that situation for 4 years. And so now when you're back in those waters again, now a little bit more vulnerable than you were before, they're going to get you again. You got to be smarter. You got to be smarter because stuff like this is ugly. That communication between, and again, I'm not saying Anthony Edwards handled this the right way at all. In fact, I think it was a horrible way to handle it. I think it was like you could have said what you said without handling it that way. But he did it, right? But he did it. He didn't break any laws, though. He didn't break any laws. He's not wanted by any judicial system. But in the court of public opinion, he looks nasty. And now that's going to be on him in perpetuity. It's dirty work. Because no longer do we work off right and wrong. We only work off what the court of public opinion tells us we are. If we worked off right and wrong, Jonathan Majors would not be facing like charges that make it look like he beat a woman up when in reality he just pushed her away or he tried to get her away from him because she was like, what are we talking about here? There's predators and there's prey. And the people who think that they're not prey, you're the prey. The NFL has an issue too, or these NFL fans have an issue. They believe for some reason that every time you have a draft, there are 5 and 6 quarterbacks going in the first round. But what's happening, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about it, is many of these NFL teams are just not in position to be able to go out there and get a quarterback. Either they don't need a quarterback, right? Either they don't need a quarterback, or they can't afford a quarterback. They don't need a quarterback or they can't afford a quarterback. Or their timetable doesn't give them the opportunity to wait on a quarterback to be good. Because if you're drafting a quarterback in the first round, a lot of times the expectation is for them to be great right now. If you have an already ready-made team. If that's the case, you probably want to go get a veteran who can go and do the job while the young one gets ready, see Kansas City and other places where this thing has worked. So I just started looking and saying, well, everybody keeps talking about 6 quarterbacks going in the first round. If they all come out. And I started saying, well, is there 6 teams that are going to take a quarterback? Not to mention, when you think about it, am I going to take the 6th quarterback over the second or over the second offensive lineman or the first center or the first guard or the third wide receiver or the second linebacker or the third defensive end or the second defensive tackle? Am I going to go to QB 6 in the first round and bypass defensive end 3, edge rusher 3, cornerback 4, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3? We see it happen all the time. And what happens to those teams? They're right back at the bottom of the draft or at the top of the draft again, because they're not maximizing the elite of what they're supposed to do. So I went down and looked at everybody who's supposed to have a draft, slot this coming first round. And I said, who out of these 32 teams are legitimately going to go out there and draft a quarterback, or at least has a chance? Right? So let's run through this thing quickly. The Bears have 2 draft picks. They'll maybe go out and get a quarterback, but they shouldn't. Right? They probably will, because pressures are pressures and people want to keep their job. And so it's easy to scapegoat the quarterback, but they probably should not. They've got Justin Fields, and if we're being honest about it, if you drop Justin Fields at a college team right now, they probably win the championship. Out of any one of those college teams that are good right now, if you drop him and replace him with every single quarterback coming out, they're better. Caleb Williams included. And he's still only 23 years old? 22 years old, 23? Should you really be replacing him? Oh, yeah, well, we got to pay him. So what? Pay him. You got all these draft picks, build through the draft. The other team, the Patriots, they're definitely getting a quarterback. The Cardinals, nah. You got a guy you're paying a ton of money. They've got 2 draft picks. They get a chance to help him immensely in the draft. Why would you go and get another quarterback? You're already paying him a lot of money, right? There's there's 5 draft picks gone right there. 1 quarterback for sure, right? Commanders, maybe they should. Will they? They might be stubborn, right? So that could be potentially 3 or 1, right? Giants, absolutely. There's 2 or 4. Jets, nope. Chargers, nope. Titans, probably should, maybe won't. How many times are you going to go and draft a quarterback until people go, well, you're not even letting these guys develop? So you may give Will Levis another year, right? Okay. Falcons, yes. Packers, nope. Raiders, yes. Saints, nope. Broncos, nope. Seahawks, nope. The Steelers, better. The Steelers, better. Right? But are they going to reach for a quarterback? Because now we're talking about the middle of the draft. Are they going to reach for a guy that might be rated as a bottom of the first round, top of the second round guy just because he's a quarterback? Who knows? Bills, nah. Bucks, they should, but Baker Mayfield's been gaining traction. He's played well. They might want to run it back and try to put more pieces around to make the team better. I can't even say I would be mad at them. He's played well enough against the teams that they should beat and against a couple of teams that they probably should not have. But most of the teams that they should not have beat, he looks bad against. That's just being honest. Vikings definitely should, but will they? Who knows? And then Rams, nope. Colts, nope. Jags, nope. Bengals, nope. Chiefs, nope. Texans, nope. Lions, nope. Eagles, nope. Dolphins, nope. Cowboys, nope. 49ers, nope. Ravens, nope. So if we get down to pick 20 and no quarterback, and there's still quarterbacks on the board. If Michael Penix is on the board, if Bo Nix is on the board, if one of those other quarterbacks that they say might have a chance to get up there on the board, guess what? There's a chance that they're going to tumble to the second round. Why? Because none of these teams need a quarterback. All of these teams need help. None of them, not one of them, need a quarterback. But every single one of these teams need help. Yes, including the 49ers. They need help. The Ravens need help. The Cowboys need help. The Dolphins need help. The Eagles need help. The Lions definitely need help. Texans definitely need help. Chiefs definitely need help at wide receiver. Bengals need help. Jags need help. Colts need help. Rams need help. The Bills need help. So if all of these teams need help, there's a better than likely chance they're not going to jump out of those draft picks to have an opportunity to get quality receivers, cornerbacks, running backs, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, safeties. Somebody's going to drop. One of those guys that you think are going to be a for sure, can't miss, high quality quarterback is going to drop. You think Jayden Daniels is going to shoot up the boards as we get into this draft season? They will find every reason known to man to not draft Jayden Daniels in the first round. He's too small. Oh, well, now that we look at his arm strength, I don't know if it can play in the weather. He's not strong enough. Yeah, he's fast, but NFL teams are faster. Yeah, he's agile, but NFL defenses are more agile. They'll come up with all of the excuses. Well, there's only 1 year of high quality production out of him. They'll ignore the fact that they dropped every single thing at LSU the year before this past year. That Kayshon Boutte dropped so many passes that he eventually left the team because he dropped from a number 1 first round draft pick all the way down to wherever the hell he got drafted at. Malik Neighbors is what everybody thought Kayshon Boutte was going to be. And Jayden Daniels took full advantage of it. You think they're not going to get into this draft process and find every reason in the world while Michael Penix Jr. isn't a first round draft pick? They've already started it. Well, look at the injury history. Look at the injury history. Look at the injury history in an NFL where the quarterback is the most protected person on the field. That's the injury history we need to be worried about. He doesn't run. He's not a scrambler. He's hella athletic, but because he doesn't want to get labeled as that, he doesn't use his athleticism. I have watched this young man with my own eyes off vert jump up and do crazy dunks. I've watched him run past people. He is all the athlete. Even after all of these injuries, all of the injuries that he had. What happens when he's healthy? They'll find every reason to not take him. They will point out every single wart on Caleb Williams as he comes out of this draft. They will find every single reason to elevate Drake May and Bo Nix. And then there'll be some other guy that we're not even talking about right now that they'll start talking about at some point in the draft process. And we'll go, huh? Who? Somebody's going to drop. And when someone drops to the second round, there's a team that's smart that's going to get a gem. Because all of these guys can't go in the first round. That's why it's 100% smart for Cam Ward to come back to school. It makes all the sense in the world for Quinn Ewers to not leave. It makes all the sense in the world for Shedeur Sanders to come back in. Why would you want to go and fight with all of those other dudes with a bunch of teams that don't even need a quarterback? They don't need a quarterback right now. But guess when they might need a quarterback? Next year. Because all of those teams that are on the fence between needing a quarterback, they get one more year to figure it out. And now when you're Shedeur Sanders and you're coming out, now it might be time, right? Now Atlanta might be ready to pull the trigger with the number 1 overall pick. What kind of storyline would that be? Atlanta drafts Deion Sanders, then drafts Shedeur Sanders, and then drafts Shiloh Sanders in the later round. These narratives just write themselves year after year after year. That's why the NFL is so great. But every quarterback's not going in the first round, my guys. Every single year, you tell us that somebody's going in the first round, and every single year we tell you, no, they're not. And then when they don't go in the first round, you go quiet. You go quiet. When we tell you that there are quarterbacks that should go in the first round, you laugh. Then they don't go in the first round, and you laugh even louder. And then they end up as starters and really great players, and it's crickets until they have one bad game or two bad games in a row. I feel so bad for black quarterbacks in the NFL. They don't get any time. They don't get time to figure it out. They don't get time to mess up. They don't normally get the opportunity for resurgence. They don't get multiple opportunities. None of it. They don't get the he just needs weapons around him argument. They just, if you're not good and if you're not exceptionally good all the time, then they look to replace you. Every single time they look to replace you. Look how long it took for people to start mock drafting quarterbacks to the Giants. Daniel Jones has been bad forever except one season. And in that one season, he was only really good in a handful of games. He was only really good in a handful of games. Most of the games, he was mediocre. Some of the games, he wasn't good. But he was good in a handful of games, and that was enough to erase 3 years of bad play. They gave him a $40 million bag, and then he went right back to being bad again. So much so that they let a bad quarterback come in as a third-string quarterback, put up 100-plus yards in a couple and a couple touchdowns off of some screen passes, and then started making these things and acting like they had possibly found the quarterback of the future. It took all of that for them to finally say the Giants need a quarterback. For everybody to say it, not just a certain group that was yelling it loudly, but for everybody to say it. Jalen Hurts has had a few bad games this year. He's turned the ball over a lot this year. Josh Allen has been turning the ball over at a record Hall of Fame clip since he entered the league. Crickets. Never, not once have I ever heard anybody say, is Josh Allen worth the money? Never have I ever heard one person say, is Joe Burrow worth the money? Joe Burrow did not have a great year this year, even when he was out there playing. He had a few good games, but overall, not a great year. Never heard anybody say it. Did Justin Herbert have a great year? Has he elevated his team at all? Haven't heard anybody say, hey, was it a mistake to pay him that much money? But you know who's gotten that? Dak Prescott's gotten it. Jalen Hurts has now gotten it. And Lamar Jackson has gotten it. And all Lamar Jackson does is continually go out there and put his team in the playoffs. Man, I feel bad. They don't get paid the same amount of money. They don't get the level of endorsement deals that some of these other people get. And they get scrutinized so hard, and not just by the outside world, but by their own fan bases. The way that the Baltimore Ravens fan base turned on Lamar Jackson when he was in his contract negotiation was ugly work. It was ugly work. They called him an idiot. They said he was stupid. His own fan base. Now, every Eagles radio station, every Eagles all want to have their think pieces on how Jalen Hurts has regressed. All the while telling us that Justin Herbert is hurt and that Joe Burrow is hurt. Baker Mayfield's on his fourth team. He's on his fourth team. He's having a good year, not a great year. Not a great year. I'm sorry, Luke. It's not a great year. It's a good year. He's having a good year. And in that good year, he has people, I'm not saying Luke saying this, but he has people who think he should get cashed out, who think he's the future. He's young enough. He's the future of the Bucs now. Meanwhile, Jameis Winston, who had a turnover problem very similar, but whose turnover problem may have been an issue of not being able to see, and nobody noticed it or nobody said anything about it until he got to the Saints, still can't get another opportunity. They're still using that against him. They're still using that season where he had 30 interceptions against them. Never mind the 30-plus touchdowns, the 5,000 yards passing. Never mind all of that. They're acting as if Mike Evans isn't Mike Evans because of what he did with Jameis Winston. Even with these new quarterbacks, his statistics have not been what they were with Jameis Winston's. And if we're keeping it a buck, he still drops balls, like critical ones. I love Mike Evans. What are we talking about here? Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard for them? It boggles my mind all the time, and I'm going to keep talking about it. You know why? Because somebody's got to talk about it, because the guys who look like me on the national platforms that have the opportunity to talk about these things, they don't talk about them enough. They don't make it households. Hey, Rashad Mendenhall said I was tired of mediocre dudes who can't play the game critiquing what we do in this game. He then, as I took it, tongue in cheekly said, "Hey, we should have a Pro Bowl with a white team and a black team," and they tried to kick his back in. But it's funny when the Bussin' with the Boys guys put an actual roster together. And by the way, Will Compton did the total cliche thing of saying that they had the advantage in the smart areas. He didn't actually, I don't think he actually came out and said it. He said, we've got the advantage in coaching and in quarterback. And I said, number one, no, you don't. Because black people have, the black quarterbacks have all the dynamics covered. They have everything that you want out of every type of quarterback. They've got it right there. You want cannon arms, they got it. You want pinpoint accuracy, they got it. You want imagination, creativity, speed, athleticism, they got it. Then he threw Christian McCaffrey out there, which is cool, and then started throwing fullbacks out there. Like, yo, who cares? Who cares about your fullback? Oh, we've got all the tight ends. Are you planning to run 3 tight end sets? Because only one of the tight ends that you name block people, and that's Kittle. The other people, they don't block like that. They're just there to catch. And once you relegate them to just being pass receivers, guess what they're not going to do? They're not going to be afraid of them. Yo, here's what we're going to do. And I'm not going to get into the roster because my man, shout out to Emery Hunt, was like, yeah, it ain't really for us. Let them have that. But you know what they're going to do? They're going to play man, and they're going to sit on Christian McCaffrey and tell your guy to beat him. I think it would be a fun game. But I think it's a blowout. I think it's a blowout. I think it'd be a fun game, but I think it's a blowout. Shout out to Zaire Franklin. He said it on his pod, I believe, or he might have just said it on social media. 47-7 or something like that. That's good for me. I like it. It was fun though. I like Will Compton's team, by the way. His team, like outside of the DBs that he admitted, like they were behind on. Man, that's a nice little squad he could put together. Definitely. I just don't think if somebody really sat down and did the other side, you would think it was fun anymore. It would just not be fun anymore. Not at all. Who's the best offensive lineman in the game? Who's the second or third best? Right? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that's another Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. We do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Hey, go ahead and check out that new article I just dropped on The Athletic, myself and back and forth about our top 5 draft picks in the 2024 fantasy draft. I've got some surprises. He's got some surprises. We argue about them. It's a great piece. I love doing work with Salfino. He's great in the space. He's good to be able to bounce things off of because we think about things in different manners. So I respect that about him. Also, make sure that you catch everything we're doing over at FCS Nation Radio. Make sure you check out the radio broadcast nationally every week. Make sure you check out the podcast. Make sure you check out any writing that I'm doing over there. And if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Instagram at Gene Clemens. Follow me on Twitter or X at Gene Clemens. Follow me on Facebook, Coach Gene Clemens. Until next time, peace.